The Democratic Alliance in Gauteng says it is deeply disappointed to learn that only 5 out of 147 cases of police brutality in Gauteng have been resolved in the past 5 years. This was revealed by the Gauteng MEC for Community Safety, Faith Mazibuko, in a written reply to the DA's question tabled in Gauteng, the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, that is. And for more on this, I'm joined now by DA Gauteng Shadow MEC for Community Safety and member of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, Michael Shackleton. Michael, it's good to have you with us on the news feed late night tonight. What was the question that was put to the MEC of Community Safety?
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here this evening, for being willing to listen to what the DA has to say, and good evening to your viewers. The question that we asked the MEC of Community Safety, Faith Mazibuko, was to determine how many cases of police brutality had been resolved in Gauteng, which were lodged over the past 5 years, which cases were reported to IPID, which is the independent body that, in terms of legislation, one is meant to report police brutality to. And we asked her what type of offences were lodged. And the list includes things like rape in police custody, death as a result of police actions, and the most frequent one was assault by the police and assault with intention to cause grievous bodily harm to the residents of Gauteng.
Now, Michael, this sounds like quite a specific question that you were asking the MEC. Were you asking this question already knowing what the answer was going to be? Were you already in possession of some level of information as to what is the progress that the IPID in particular is making around police brutality investigations?
Absolutely not. I was honestly not aware whatsoever that only 5 cases out of 147, that means that on average 1 case was resolved per year. There was a report in 2019 conducted by Ground Up, which said that on a single day, 308 files were closed by IPID, allegedly to improve performance statistics. However, those figures are on a national level, and I could have never expected that 5 out of 147, that would be the outcome for Gauteng. It's certainly a much worse situation than we could have ever possibly imagined.
Yeah, I've had a look at that ground-up investigation as well before my chat to you. It seems, quite honestly, that IPID there would want to hit higher targets so that they can then report to their superiors and they can take that to Parliament. But that seemingly, that is not the case here. I mean, these 147 cases have been given to IPID. What have they done with them?
Well, it's not clear. I think many of the cases are ongoing. As they say, justice delayed is justice denied. And I think the victims feel a bit disappointed and lost. I think you can imagine if it's your own wife, your own daughter, or you yourself that, for example, was raped in police custody, you want answers and you also want accountability. There have been statements in Parliament last year which has said that IPID is severely under-resourced, that their budget is decreased on a year-on-year basis. But there's also allegations on the other side of alleged malpractice within IPID, like the performance statistics scenario, like that allegedly that the IPID could potentially in some cases not be as independent as it is supposed to be. And there were even media reports last year saying that the independence of IPID is under attack. And as the DA in Gauteng, we think that there has to be a very urgent investigation through the MEC for Community Safety, the Provincial Police Commissioner, but not only them, also the National Police Commissioner and the Minister of Police to get to the bottom of this. There must surely be some very good, hardworking people in IPID, but there is probably a rot and a lack of independence somewhere hampering certain cases. And obviously IPID has to be as well-resourced as it can possibly be. And we have to protect the people of this province from police brutality and inculcate a sense of professionalism and honesty in the police, because we all want the police to protect us, our family and our loved ones, and we want to feel safe.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, you've got violent criminals in the police who are getting away without accountability at this particular point. Did you get any indication from the MEC's reply as to what is behind this low level of case completion?
Unfortunately not, though we can hope now the MEC is in receipt of the answers that she gave as a result of us asking those very pointed, probing questions. And we are calling on her in a very public space to engage with the Minister of Police and with the head of IPID herself, Jennifer Inklatsing, to really get to the bottom of the situation. But really a comprehensive investigation is needed. We can't continue like this year on year and into the next generation where currently it looks pointless lodging any complaint of police brutality in the province of Gauteng. Yeah. And that surely cannot be even a remotely acceptable situation.
That look that you're talking about of pointlessness, is that a deliberate construct? In a sense that, do you think that there is a deliberate cover-up of police brutality, or you're looking at what has been mentioned in Parliament in 2019, for example, one of the directors of IPID raising the issue that you've got IPID investigators who are at the same level as the South African Police Service as far as the level of work that they need to do. However, they are not paid at that level, and therefore their morale is quite low, and therefore there is this lackluster attitude in as far as carrying out such investigations.
I think that cannot be the only reason. I think when you have a passion for your work, I'm not saying people must be unpaid, but there are situations in this life, let's say NGOs or whatnot, where people are not paid for their work, but they do their work because they have a passion and a love for it. But I do think that IPID is under-resourced, but I think that there isn't enough accountability and enough really mechanisms in place, I think, to ensure that IPID is properly independent and as independent as we would like it to be. Every week, every month, every year, we do hear allegations of apparent interference by the police in IPID investigations, which is obviously not supposed to happen because IPID is meant to be a fully independent organization, and we have to guard fiercely against its, in favor of its independence.
Yeah, of course, there's a new head at IPID who announced via an online and virtual meeting this new approach to bolster the performance of IPID and to prioritize those cases which are severe as far as police misconduct is concerned. Do you think that the case completion target approach is an approach that IPID should go back to? In other words, investigators being given target on completing cases, or how should this be resolved?
Well, I do think that there has to be some kind of reporting mechanism where the investigators do indicate what kind of work that they did undertake. It is important to have some kind of plan of action as to what you're going to do, but there surely must be massive pressure there, like with the National Prosecuting Authority. That's another story of its own as well. But I think in IPID we see people closing dockets before matters are fully resolved because of the pressure that's experienced and because they have to meet certain performance targets. And so they do need to look at a way of working that takes into account the quality of their work, but at the same time they have to remove the rot where there are corrupt, ineffective people. I'm certain, as I've said, that there are some very good people, even many good people working at IPID, but they have to be adequately resourced year on year. And I want to say, if there's anyone in IPID that's even listening to me, this is not about attacking IPID. I sincerely hope that this what I'm saying now, being on national television, that puts pressure on the right people in the right places to fully capacitate IPID and to ensure that the rot is removed, that things are streamlined and that it performs better, because that has to be in the best interest of all South Africans across race, gender, socioeconomic lines.
Yeah. I mean, what level of pressure do you put on? I mean, you've got 117 cases of common assault. You've got 16 deaths in police custody. If that is not pressure enough, I don't know what pressure is. 10 deaths cases as a result of police actions. You've got 3 cases of rape, right? In a country where we are fighting gender-based violence. You've got 1 person raped in police custody in 2018. I mean, all those kind of cases should certainly point to the kind of attention that you should be giving these cases.
Absolutely. The last that I heard nationally, IPID had fewer than 400 staff. And I think this is contributing in a very negative way to them getting through cases. Yeah. And perhaps there's the wrong response from management. Say, us talking tonight about the performance of IPID, you could find that, let's say, underlings or juniors are forced to show dramatic successes in a truly unrealistic space of time.
Michael Shackleton, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you very much for joining us today. That's
thank you so much for everything.
Gauteng Shadow MEC for Community Safety and member of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, Michael Shackleton.